Hey YouTube, how you doing? Kevin here, coming at you with another video. So don't mind the bench mess. We're working on another project there. The what do you call it there? The splitting of the case, and the one that has the bad gear, the bad transmission. So that's for later on tonight. We're working on this. I want to show you guys a couple things real quick. I get asked a ton of questions, and I try to get them all. So I'm going to do this real quick for you before we get into the brake part of it. This is going to be a couple part series on the brakes because I'm just going to talk to you guys about liners and what the specs are, because I'm not able to do that video right now, but I know a lot of you guys need that information. So I'm going to put the information out there for you, and then we'll do a follow-up on that. Okay, this is for the guys who have this style flywheel right here, which is typically found in your older, your G3s, your mc1s, the what do you call it, Trail Boss 100s, those Kawasaki 100s, and the very early, like the 76 Kawasaki KE 100s. Some of those have this style. This is what I call the sharp edge. It comes up to a sharp edge right here. It's not rounded. And you have your rounded style, which also looks newer. Okay, so these two flywheels are actually the same, but different. Okay, so these right here have 6 magnets on the inside. Okay, you can see how they're smaller magnets. And then the mc1 and the, it's really tight, the Kawasaki, the Trail Boss 100 also has 6 magnets. Okay, so they're the same, but they're different. What I mean by the same and different, they all have 6 magnets, and they have, this one has a round edge, this one's got the crisp, sharp edge. They will work on each other. Same balance, same timing mark, same cam, everything's the same on them. Just one's older, one's a little newer. This is the same one found on the Kawasaki KD 100M. Okay, so the 6 magnet poles are the ones that have the spaghetti wiring. So if you have the spaghetti wiring, you have the 6 magnets. Why 6? Why not 3? Answer: they look the same. The 2 coils, or is it? Yeah, these 2 coils right here look the same, but they are technically different. Each one of these coils has 2 wires on it, where the other one only has one going to this one, to, you know, so there's only 2 wires coming off them. These actually have 4 wires coming off them, so require a 6 magnet pull. The 3 magnet will work on it, just so you know. So I have used it. It does work. Does it charge any better? No. Does it charge any less? No. Just that you can get away with the 3, but the 6 is what this was designed with. And then of course you got your same with your what do you call it, points pickup and everything else. None of that's going to change. So you can either use a 3 or a 6. If you need to purchase for your Trail Boss 100 a points plate, you can get this plate off of the following bikes that I personally know of. This, if you have the spaghetti wiring on your Trail Boss, all these bikes that I'm about to label for you are the same. You can get this points plate off of, or magneto, off of a KD 100M, the 100, not the 80, the 100. You can get this plate off of the mc1, and you can get this off of the what do you call it, the G3, the 90cc, the mc100. All those bikes have this spaghetti wiring in that. So I wanted to put that out there for you. Now the bikes on my comparison video that I did on my KM100 and my KD 80 are not interchangeable. The KM100, the ignition system is the same as the KE100. That's where the difference was. The bike looks exactly like it, looks exactly like the mc1, but that particular bike is the 2-wire system, and that goes and it's collaborated with the KE100s. Okay, so those are the differences between those two bikes and what's interchangeable. So if you have an MC1, you can use these rounded flywheel or the squared flywheel, whatever you prefer. And of course, they all have the same timing marks and the same time and place, right there. Okay. So that's what I had on that. Okay, I want to touch base with you on that. So the KD80, I'm sorry, the KD100M and the Trail Boss share the same points plates, and MC1 also. If you have a KM100, that shares the same one with the KE. Alright, so now that's out there, we'll go with the next part. Brakes. How can I tell if my brakes are bad, and what do I do? Okay, so, and why are there two windows? Alright, so we're going to get into all this right here, right now. Alright, so this is the back brakes right here. There's your axle hole. Here's your hole right here for your rod that goes up to your trail arm. And then you see this little window right here. And on this window, it says usable range. Okay? And of course, you're going to adjust it a little bit. It's going to be basically centered in the middle. And then that's where it's usable. But then you notice there's another one that says usable range up here. Why? Okay, so basically what this is some people like to have the rod that goes from here to the brake pedal on top of the chain. Some people like to have it down bottom, so you can actually flip this rod around. You have to take it apart. You can flip it around, in this little meter here, this little arrow would be in the correspondent with that window. So these are universal, they can go on either side. On the back, these are real simple to do, guys. 2 springs, 2 pads. Okay, how do you take the pads off? Grab them, collapse them, and they come right off. Okay, upon reassembling, you're going to clean this whole thing. Use some brake clean, clean it all up, get all the dust out of there. Why do you want to get the dust out of there? Because that dust will cause you to have a squeaky brake. So when you pull on the brake or step on the brake or whatever the case may be, you'll hear it. That's from the brake dust. Now, going back to that window, okay, you can actually you can see the window right here. You can actually just take the rod and flip it over. If you take it apart, it's on this cam. That 2 flat spots of the cam. So you loosen it up, you can flip it over, and then that right there will be in the right spot, and then you can be able to do it. So, all right, a couple things you want to grease. You want to put a dab of grease here and on the other side of the flat, and then you want to put a layer of grease right here. These are your pivot points. Okay. Also, wouldn't hurt to throw a dab of grease on the axle hole. Okay. All right. So now you have 2 brake pads. They say there's a primary and secondary. There is not. They are both the exact same pads on this particular bike. So basically, what you're going to do is put the springs to each one of the holes so they look like this. Okay, these here will be cleaned up, and then you'll have a dab of grease on the pivot points. That's real simple. You have a flat side, and you have a round side. Round side obviously goes on the pin. Set it on there just like so. Okay, so what you're going to do is see the pivot points. There's a little head on them. You want to get the brake pad in back of the head and then just push it over. When you get it over, make sure you snap it into place. And that's all there is to it. That's how you replace your brakes. There's no forward, backwards, or anything like that. And when you step on them, you can see how the cam expands them on the flat spot. And then there's your pivot point right there. So, whatever you do, make sure when you take your brake pads off, you spray brake clean, not car brake clean, but brake clean in there. clean them out. Then you put a dab of grease on both pivot points. So you get, one dab of grease here in the back, rotate it around, one here, and one on the back side. Lock your spring in. Take your brake pads, put them on the other side of the head. Like so. And then just rotate it right over. So, other side of the head. Rotate them on. Just like that. And then they should move nice and easy, no binding. If your springs are rusted, replace them. If there's a gap in between them, any one of these, replace them. Okay? Brake pads, normally when you buy brake pads, they don't come with the hardware. You have to buy a separate kit. So if your spring looks stretched out, you want to replace it. Okay. And that is the same with the front. The front, everything is the same except there's a gear that goes inside. You can see, I don't know if you can see it or not. Let's see. Flashlight. Okay. You see that worm gear up in there. There's a little spindle that rides on that shaft. I don't have, these are just extra brakes, but that worm gear right there, see the worm gear? That's your speedometer. And there is another piece that fits inside here, and that goes up against the worm gear. You want to make sure those have grease on them. And then this big round black circle, right there, that's your seal. So you want to make sure you put a dab of grease on that seal, on the inside of it. And the reason why, you don't want the grease going into where your brake pads are. Okay? Other than that, you treat these the exact same. Lube all places. Pop the brakes off. Clean the backing plate with brake clean. Dry them out. And then you're all set there. Okay. My other question I received was, how can I tell if the brake pads are usable or not usable? Like how to wear. Okay, so I'm going to grab my trusty general micrometer, or caliper vernier, or whatever you want to call it, multimeter. Well, not multimeter, multifunction, fractional, whatever you want to call it. Doohickey thingy thingy, what's it? You can also use a, what do you call it? A ruler. So, alright. What I'm going to do is make sure it's all set, turn it on. It's on fractions right now, so that's fine. I'm alright with fractions. Fractions of millimeters. So I'm going to do this both ways. Okay, the minimum thickness on this brake pad, okay, in, what do you call it there? Fractions is a 1/16. 1/16. Okay. So you get 1/16 on the board, which is not very much. Okay. What you're going to do is you're going to measure this thing in 3 places, each pad. Alright, so you can see how there's aluminum right here, and then your brake pad sits on top of it. You're not going to measure the aluminum, you're going to measure the brake pad, the lining, the thickness. If the brake pads, these are good. Okay, we're going to measure the thickness of them. 9/64. 3 seconds. .9/64. Okay. So we have a good brake pad. You're going to do that all on both sides. You're going to measure, if you're looking at the pad, you're going to measure here, here, and here. On both pads. Here, here, and here. On the back pads, on the front brake caliper, that was the back. The front, you're going to do the exact same thing. Measure here, here, and here. Here, here, and there. Okay? The minimum thickness is 1/8. Okay? So if you have your ruler, you can set it up to 1/8, or you can even just use it to measure it. Basically, if you're going to measure it with a rule, which I like to do too, You can just put it right on there. See if I can see it better with the light. Nope. I'll try it this way. Just trying to show you guys. And that's how you would measure it. Okay, you can. I'm looking through the camera doing this, so it's a little difficult to do like that. And you're just going to measure it in 3 places. All 3 of them. The other thing you're looking for on the brakes is to see if the padding, the brake pad, is coming off of the aluminum. Okay. If it's coming off in any way, shape, or form, throw it out. Okay. Because you don't need that type of, what will happen is it'll dislodge, it'll move over the cam area and then lock up your wheel. So make sure your brake pad is not coming off and it looks good. Okay, so if you're using pads, your old pads, or you have a good set of old ones that are in good shape, like these ones right here are in really good shape, okay? You want to check the drum, make sure that the drum that these fit onto is also in good shape, not rusted and clean. And then take a piece of sandpaper. You're not going to go hard on them, okay? You're just going to scuff them up a little bit. Try to go even with them. So they're nice and light and tan, okay? That's basically what you want to look for. The reason why you do this is because it takes the brake dust off them, and the brake dust is what makes your brakes squeal. So, that's how all that is. These are a good set of brakes, so I'm keeping them on there. But you can tell, and there's no chips on them, they're in good shape. These aren't going to squeal. Also, too, you want to make sure you don't get any oil or grease on the pads, okay? Oil and grease on the pads will contaminate them and eventually seep into the pad and cause it to fail, okay? So that's pretty much what I have. I'm not going to do the adjustments on them today because we're going to get them on a bike. I have a bike that I'm going to be working on and doing. I just wanted to answer a few very important questions on brakes, how to check and see if they're good. And oh yeah, and for you people who are overseas, or you know, for the people who like to measure in metric millimeters, there, it's 1.5 millimeters. So for that one, I will just close my caliper vernier, change it over to millimeters, and it's literally 1.5. Would be the wear part, and then you would measure it in the same thing, 3 spots, just like I did when I did the metric. So for you people who like to use millimeters, it's 1.5. For you people who like to use it in standard or SAE, it's 1/16 is the specification for the minimum wear on that. So if they're over that, they're usable, but let's be honest. If you have a brake pad that is anywhere near 1/16, you're going to want to replace it while you have it apart. They're fairly cheap to buy brake shoes. They're about 18 bucks. You know, typically they come they're not per pad, they're one set. Okay? They actually have good deals on eBay and stuff like that where you can buy 2 sets and get the same, you know, for like 22 bucks I think it is. So the front pads and the back pads are the same. There's no difference in them. What do you call it? They're the exact same pads. Okay? Same pads. No difference. So just make sure you note that. And the hardware springs are also the same. That's the nice thing about these little bikes. They kept them all the same. And that just makes it a whole lot easier for parts. There is no primary and secondary pad, so it doesn't matter which side, left or right. Now typically you'd have a primary and secondary pad. We have one pad longer than the other. They call it a trailing pad. These aren't that. These are not that style pad. Okay. So just wanted to go over that with you. So the brake shoes, these are the pads right here, but they're shoes. Okay, they're called brake shoes. The brake shoes are the same back and front. Remember, brake clean the back. Do not use carburetor cleaner. On the front, grease your bearing and your seal. Make sure you get no grease or oil on your pads, or shoes in this case. Grease your pivot points, and you're going to check the thickness. Here, here, and here, 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 and here. And the spec is 1/16 in inches and 1.5 in millimeters. So that's all I have for you guys for today on the brake talk. We're going to be installing these on a bike. So these are the good ones I dug out on a bike, and I got a lot of videos coming up, guys. We've got brakes. We're going to teach you guys why your why your tire keeps going flat after you put a brand new tube in it. All kinds of cool things coming up. So tonight we're going to be doing the rest of the video on the transmission case. I got the transmission. I'll give you guys a quick sneak peek. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to show you. For you who watch my videos, it had a bent shaft, okay? You can actually see the discoloration right up in here. And then, I don't know if you can see it or not. See if I get some light on the subject. Can't really see it on video, unfortunately. But there's a see up inside there? It's all melted metal. The shaft got really hot. It's been, right there, see it? Right up inside there, it's all melted. And you can actually see the wear where it was wearing. That's where all those teeth went on the, what do you call it there, on the plastic gear. So you can see how it's warped. From here to here is fine. From here over to here, it's not. And that's why it was binding up. So, we got that whole thing we're going to be doing tonight and getting that video done. So, I've never seen a transmission shaft warp, bend, or do any of that. I mean, that's just really, really bad. And these right here are what they call dogs. I'll show you this real quick. Why I have you guys here. I'm going to go over it again on my video tonight too. So, these little pieces that stick up off the gear, those are called dogs, and they fit into the gear and turn it. And if those edges are rounded off, your transmission will slip out of gear. So we have to make sure we inspect everything that we do beforehand. You can see the dogs on that one, they fit right into the gear, and then it locks. So, but yeah, we'll get into that tonight. It's pretty neat that we were able to find what the problem is with that transmission and why that engine locked up. Now that engine we're doing is a KE100, but we're not going to use it on a KE100. We're going to use it on a KM100 or a KD100, just simply by leaving it the way it is, putting the same piston in it that came with it, but we're going to change the jug to a 100cc, what do you call it there, KM or a KD motor, and make it into a KD100 engine. So, but that's pretty much what I have for you guys for tonight. Today, sorry, we haven't got to that night yet. It's only 11:50 right now, but it's going to take a while for this video to upload. So you'll probably see this later on this afternoon or tomorrow. But thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. Any questions, any comments, anything you guys need me to talk about, by all means, please let me know. Alright, well thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe.